Good morning, everyone. I'm Paul Butkus, Chair of the Connecticut Historic Preservation Council, and I'm calling to order our November 6th, 2024 meeting. Attending this morning are the following council members: Beth Ackley, Vincenza Adduci, Beth Burgess, myself, Paul Butkus, Marguerite Carnell, Thea Glazer, Sarah Nelson, Deanna Rhodes, and we're expecting Tom Elmore and Sarah Sportman to join in a few minutes. We have a quorum. Our format and review of public comment procedures. The following is the Historic Preservation Council's format and review of public comment procedures, given the online format of today's meeting for those who are visitors today and want to review and explain our procedures. The order of the presentation. I will read each motion and ask for the motion to be moved and seconded. Staff will present the agenda item to the council, and council members will have an opportunity to ask questions. If called upon by staff, a representative of the organization may offer statements or address council's questions. For members of the public who wish to speak to the agenda item, we ask that you identify yourself and your affiliation. After all questions have been addressed and statements made, a roll call vote will be taken. If members of the public have letters and/or written statements they wish to submit to the record, please email them to Jonathan Kinney at jonathan.kinney@ct.gov. The Historic Preservation Council takes statements from members of the public but does not respond to questions. Lastly, please only address the particular agenda item being addressed at that time. Our Code of Conduct and Conflict of Interests. The following is the Historic Preservation Council's policy regarding conflict of interest. The Historic Preservation Council votes on matters which provide leadership, service, and economic benefits to property owners, consultants, local governments, and not-for-profit organizations. Given this responsibility and to maintain the highest professional standards in the discharge of our duties, it's important to maintain a strong code of ethics for all council members and department employees. In order to avoid possible violations of the Department of Economic and Community Development Ethics Statement, it's necessary for the council to be aware of any situations in which there's a real, potential, or apparent conflict of interest involving anyone here. The conflict of interest may occur when a public official's participation in agency matters results in personal financial gain. All council and staff have been provided a copy of the Department of Economic and Community Development's ethics statement and governing state statutes. Having reviewed them in today's agenda, members of the council and staff are now asked to disclose any affiliations with entities or projects that may create a conflict of interest as defined by agency policy and pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes I-79 through I-89, entitled Code of Ethics for Public Officials. Once disclosed, the member or staff may recuse themselves from that particular agenda item. Having read this statement, are there any council or staff members that would like to disclose a conflict of interest to any of the items on today's agenda? Seeing and hearing none, we will move right along since we have a very full agenda. Item 4A.
This is Jonathan. Sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
Andy has joined us.
Thank you. Our first agenda item is item 4A, review and approval of meeting minutes from the October 2nd, 2024 meeting. Meeting minutes were provided to council members via email from Jonathan Kinney. Are there any corrections? Can I have a motion to approve?
This is Sarah. I'll make a motion.
And a second?
Andy will second.
Thank you, Andy. Do a roll call vote. Beth Ackley?
Aye.
Thea Adduci?
Aye.
Beth Burgess?
Aye.
I'll abstain. Marguerite Carnell?
Abstain, as I was not present.
Okay, and Tom is not with us yet. Leah Glazer?
Aye.
Andy Horowitz?
Aye.
Sarah Nelson?
Aye.
Deanna Rhodes?
Aye.
And Sarah's not with us yet, right? The motion carries. Moving right along, item 4B. This was the meeting minutes from the part 2 portion of the August 7th, 2024 meeting related to the Norwalk SEPA action item. Minutes were provided to council members via email by Jonathan, and this is documenting the brief discussion and documenting our decision in that matter. Can I have a motion to approve? Anyone?
Sarah Nelson, I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Sarah.
Second,
And
Marguerite.
Thank you. Beth Ackley,
Aye.
Fia Duce,
Aye.
Beth Burgess,
Aye.
I'll abstain. Marguerite Carnell,
Aye.
Tom's not here yet. Leah Glazer,
Aye.
Andy Horowitz,
I'll abstain.
Sarah Nelson,
Aye.
Deanna Rhodes,
Aye.
and Sarah's not here. Okay, the motion carries. Okay, our first grant item 5B1. I read the motion. The Historic Preservation Council votes to award a survey and planning grant funded by the Community Investment Act of the State of Connecticut to the below-listed applicant in the amount shown. All grant guidelines and state requirements shall be met by the below-listed applicant upon receipt of a grant and as administered by the Department of Economic and Community Development. Staff recommends the application for funding. The applicant is the Archer Memorial AME Zion Church, and the project is a geophysical survey for human burials at the church cemetery in Pine Grove, dated circa 1800 at 789 Archer Road, Windsor, Connecticut. The amount requested $5,000. Can I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve Deanna Rhodes.
And a
I'll
second?
Beth Burgess.
Thank you, Beth. Discussion?
Good morning, everybody. I had to make sure my mic was on. So staff does recommend approval of this application. The church and cemetery are on the Windsor Freedom Trail, as you noted in the application, the Connecticut Freedom Trail. And they are looking for this survey in anticipation of doing some work with CCSU, which will involve some ground disturbance. And so they want to make sure that they are able to identify any possible burials before they start doing that. We did discuss it with Corey Atkinson, one of our archaeologists, and we do support this application. Patricia Gardner, oh yes, I believe she's on. I will try to answer any questions you have, but if there's something I can't, I'll hopefully defer to her.
Thank you, Mary. Any comments or questions from council members? I don't see everybody at the same time, so if, if you do, please raise your hand. It's very interesting project, Mary. I don't see any comments or questions, so I guess we can move to a vote. Beth Ackley,
Aye.
Via Duce,
Aye.
Beth Burgess,
Aye.
I'll abstain. Marguerite Carnell,
Aye.
Tom's not here yet. Leah Glazer,
Aye.
Andy Horowitz,
Aye.
Sarah Nelson,
Aye.
Deanna Rhodes,
Aye.
and Sarah's not here yet. So that's everyone. The motion carries. We wish you
Great.
well with the project.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along. Item 5B2. The Historic Preservation Council votes to award a survey and planning grant funded by the Community Investment Act of the State of Connecticut to the below-listed applicant in the amount shown. All grant guidelines and state requirements shall be met by the below-listed applicant upon receipt of a grant as administered by the Department of Economic and Community Development. Staff recommends the application for funding. The applicant is the Friends of Fort Griswold Battlefield State Park, and the project is landscape condition assessment for Fort Griswold State Park, circa 1775 in Groton, Connecticut. Amount requested is $6,000. Can I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion to approve. Deanna Rhodes.
And a
And
second?
Andy will second it.
Thank you, Andy. Discussion?
Thank you. So staff encouraged this application, just in the event that, that the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection needs to do some work at this site. We wanted to get ahead of it and make sure that there's some sort of assessment in place to inform any work that might go on. So we do, recommend approval of this application. And I don't think that Hallie Keeler is here from the Friends of Fort Griswold, but I will try to answer any questions or concerns that you have.
Thank you, Mary. Any comments or questions? Beth Burgess.
Thank you. Mary, is there an immediate concern about the landscape that this assessment will bring forward?
Not that I know of. Kathy Labadia might be able to answer that. I don't know, Kathy.
I can help you out there.
Thanks.
So staff went out at the front property and had problem.
I'm having a hard time.
It's very hard to
Kathy,
hear you,
I'm
Kathy.
sorry.
I'm sorry. Is this any better?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So staff was called out there by the Friends group to look at an area of the ramparts that are eroding, and they have a little bit of a water issue, but mostly there's a lot of planting issues, and so they're hoping to provide DEEP with an opportunity for a landscape plan that can help save the ramparts as well as shed water in a more efficient way.
Okay,
So
that
I
makes
wouldn't
total
say
sense.
it's immediate, but it is certainly a pressing issue.
Mhm. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Sarah Nelson.
Thank you, Paul. Let me just bring up my the motion again. So obviously, I think this is a great project, Mary. I have a question, and part of it's informed by, I know that ultimately this is a project that's going to be managed by the state, subject to funding and timing variables that are going to be sort of out of the control of the study. It was unclear to me what the final product was. I mean, it talks about it's being a study, but does this have a site plan locating the walls, the areas of vegetation that need to be removed? Does any geotechnical work need to be included? I was just trying to understand the details so that when the Friends put the RFP out, they get a sufficient level of information that can be valuable and not just put on the shelf.
Hey, Mary, you want me to
Yes.
help you out with this again? Yeah.
Well, sure.
So
Thank you.
there is substantial amount of information that already does exist for the property. So the Friends group is going into this eyes wide open with exactly what it is they're looking for. And this may not end up being a DEEP managed project. So for DEEP properties, Friends groups are allowed to procure their own funding and engage in activities on the property independently of DEEP. And I think this is what the Friends group is hoping, is they don't see any money set aside from the state to make these repairs. And so they plan on applying for semi-sesquicentennial funding and other sources of 250th funding to help implement whatever plan is put together.
Okay, but what is your expectation, Kathy, about what's the most valuable document to come out of this study? And
They
again, I'm
wanna
in
do-
support of it. It's just trying to define it.
Yep, I think they're looking for two things. One, they want to understand what the historic characterization of the property would have been at the time, at the period of its significance. And second, they want to understand what least intensive measures can be undertaken to help divert water and stop the eroding of the embankment.
And there was also invasive species, right? That they were trying
Correct.
to identify to the management plan.
Correct.
So it's both a kind of a horticultural kind of approach plus any structural and site grading issues that work together. Does that help, Sarah?
Yeah, so Kathy, they have a topographic survey. They've got all of the basic documentation in hand.
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay, Beth Ackley?
I think I'm probably just building on what Sarah was suggesting, but maybe just from a little bit more of a structural approach. It looks like, you know, those walls are retaining walls and there's some scour underneath them. And maybe that was just vegetation, but one of those pictures in particular, there's an area of erosion underneath the wall. So just to be mindful of thinking maybe just beyond landscape and plantings, just to make sure they've got the root cause of what's really happening there.
Yeah, so the engineering side of it is coming from deep engineers. I don't recall any scour being below, but what you may be seeing is they also have a problem with burrowing animals. And so I'm wondering if that's what you might be seeing.
Yeah. Well, just to, you know, understand root cause, that's the main message, to make sure that they're tackling all of that. But I'm definitely in support of the project.
Thank you. Any further questions, council members? I don't see any hands raised, so we'll move on to our vote. Beth Ackley,
Aye.
Thea Duce,
Aye.
Beth Burgess,
Aye.
I'll abstain. Marguerite Carnell,
Aye.
Tom has not joined us yet. Leah Glazer,
Aye.
Andy Horowitz,
Aye.
Sarah Nelson,
Hi.
Deanna Rhodes,
Aye.
and has Sarah joined us yet?
Yes, I'm here.
So Sarah Sportman.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries.
Thank you so much.
Moving right along, item 5B3. The Historic Preservation Council votes to award a survey and planning grant funded by the Community Investment Act of the State of Connecticut to the below listed applicants in the amount shown. All grant guidelines and state requirements shall be met by the below listed applicant upon receipt of a grant as administered by the Department of Economic and Community Development. Staff recommends the application for funding. The applicant is the town of Reading, and the project is a conditions assessment for the Gilbert and Bennett Wire Mill site dated 1874, located at 20 North Main Street, Reading. Amount requested is $20,000. I have a motion to approve. I know you all
Sarah
want to jump in.
Nelson. Sarah Nelson motion.
In a second.
Via second.
Is that V? Or Leah?
Yes. Yeah.
V. Thank you. Discussion.
So staff recommends approval of this application. When I first looked at it, I obviously didn't think that the budget was going to cover all of these big buildings. So I did seek clarification with the town, and what they want to do is look at that 2015 report and update it. They do want to add a few more buildings to it to kind of help develop some sort of vision for moving forward. And they did confirm that any
Mhm.
any additional costs would be made up by the town or various other funding sources. I believe Julia Pemberton is here from the town to help answer any questions or concerns that you have.
Yes, thank you. And my colleague Amy Atomian is also on the call. Amy is the chair of our Gilbert Minot Warmill Advisory Committee. Actually wrote the application and is very involved in the project. So between the two of us, we'll endeavor to answer any questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there
I'll
any
just
questions?
start. Mary, as we've talked about before, when we have so many buildings and the goals are trying to identify costs, we can do one of these studies on one building and, consume the entire $20,000 grant funding. So it's critical to understand what you're going to be able to document and what level of cost estimating will be done, because cost estimators can eat up the entire budget, but they need to know what they're doing. So clarifying what those goals are within the budget, you may want in your RFP to kind of get the list of services with associated fees, so you can decide which ones you're going to choose, because asking for a lump sum for everything, you're going to get a very limited benefit out of the detail that you'll get back. If you have a $40,000 budget and you're looking at 12 buildings, what are you going to really see? That's kind of pricing for all of the windows. So being very clear of what your expectations are, and is it a stabilization or trying to get it for what intended use? There's a lot of preliminary information, kind of the big vision for what you want to see there, and kind of adjusting accordingly. With that, I'll just open up to questions from other council members. Any other council members? Sarah Nelson?
No question, Paul. Just I want to second everything that you said. It's so true.
Thank you. Beth Ackley?
I'm also in agreement with those thoughts, and I just would add, if what you're asking has, commands a fee that's higher than that, you may want to just think about if you have the funding to do that, or if you want to, how you might divide that project up in a way that could scale back to that budget.
Thank you, Beth. Any further questions, comments? Seeing none, I still see Beth's hand up, but got it. Okay. Thank you. Go to a roll call vote. Beth Ackley.
Aye.
Via Duce.
Aye.
Beth Burgess.
Aye.
I'll abstain. Marguerite Carnell.
Aye.
Tom's not here yet. Leah Glazer.
Aye.
Andy Horowitz.
Aye.
Sarah Nelson.
Aye.
Anna Rhodes.
Aye.
And Sarah Sportman.
Aye.
Motion carries. We wish you well.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is item 5B4. The Historic Preservation Council votes to award a survey and planning grant funded by the Community Investment Act of the State of Connecticut to the below listed applicant in the amount shown. All grant guidelines and state requirements shall be met by the below listed applicant upon receipt of a grant as administered by the Department of Economic and Community Development. Staff recommends the application for funding. The applicant is the Connecticut Audubon Society, and the project is schematic design drawings for the restoration of the Roger Torrey Peterson Estuary Center, dated 1756, at 100 Lime Street, Old Lyme, Connecticut. The amount is $20,000. We have a motion to approve.
This is
So
Sarah
moved.
Nelson. I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
Okay.
It's Beth Burgess.
Thank you. Discussion?
So again, staff does recommend approval of this application. When we first looked at it, we saw a big master plan, and we were a little concerned about the treatment of the oldest part of the building. So we did have a meeting with the Connecticut Audubon Society. When they competitively selected the architect a couple of years ago, when they moved into the building, they did create this big master plan that you saw in the application. But now, after kind of, quote, living with the building for a couple of years, they are continuing with that architect to kind of start with schematic level designs to revisit how they want to program the space and use the space. And our main concern about the historic block of the building was alleviated. It's not going to be substantially or actually altered much at all, but they do want to program the space to better provide educational programming per their mission. Alicia Millardo and Joyce Lees are both here from the Connecticut Audubon Society to answer any questions or concerns that I can't.
Thank you, Mary. We'll start with Sarah Nelson.
Thank you, Paul.
Mm.
So, Mary, this, again, this is in favor of this application, but it's really an issue about expectation management for the client, the grantee, and the scope of work that's identified. So these are schematic design drawings. Sounds like there's programming, which is sort of pre-design work. The grant application talks about schematic design to be used to complete, repair, corrective work, and support securing building permits. So that's several phases beyond schematic design. You have to go through design development and contract documents. So when you're sort of working with the Audubon Society, just be very clear that schematic design does not lead to bid documents and permit documents. And you're going to hear this theme from me on several of these applications that we refer to the phases correctly and the expectation of what the phases are going to provide.
No, exactly. And usually when I get a budget that goes beyond the scope of the pre-planning, I generally go back to the grantee and let them know that, certain costs will not be covered by the grant, but that they can certainly come back. And when I talked to Alicia, I'm not going to say they're starting from, square one, but it was the recommendation of the architect that they're working with that they, start with schematic design, but they can certainly come back to us for the next phase, for bid level, and then yeah, if they decide to go to HRF, some of that administration would be covered under that grant. So I think they're clear on what this grant will cover, and it is based on a budget from the architect. So I I will confirm, but based on our conversation, I think they understand what they can spend it on.
Yeah, and I know that grant applications go through several rewrites, so that language of supporting the actual bid, the building permit, could be from an earlier iteration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions?
Yeah, Paul, this is Tom. I have a comment. I want to build on what Sarah was just saying. Sarah, I read it differently than you. I read that the grant is for $20,000 for schematic design. Total budget is $135,000 to carry it forward. So I don't know, I'm not sure really where it goes, but that's how I read it, that they do have, at least it seems like they have sufficient money to carry the broader scope.
Mary
it is-
sounds just like a clarification.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and this happens a lot. And I guess I need to clarify that in my notes, but sometimes, they'll ask for the small piece that's being covered by the grant itself. But sometimes the budget goes even way into like, but the project is $1 million. So I'm like, no, the schematic drawings are not $1 million. The whole project is, so yes, I will just, if they're awarded the grant, I will work with them, to make sure um, that this segment only is covered by the application. But they obviously are looking ahead to moving forward with the, successive phases and possibly coming back to us for additional funding.
Yeah. Or if they're bidding it out and saying this is just the supplement that we're going to get from the state is just the 20,000 and we're funding everything else, that's fine as well, and then they can get everything done at one time with the team and they'll be ready to go. And it's not a kind of repeat application process that draws everything out. So if they've already
Right.
planned on contributing the remaining funds, that's fine. And we're happy to help them with our the funds that we can. And with Fee, you have a comment?
I think everybody, it's the same comment because I read it differently too. I assumed that the 20,000 was for the schematic design and then the 80,000 would be for the construction drawings phase. But I think it's just worth a clarification. And I'll also add that I didn't see anywhere about a contingency and for the owner. That's always a good thing because like you said, there's going to go through multiple phases of grants. So you want to make sure you cover it up. But I did rate it that the remaining is going to be 80,000 for the architectural, and they have also the breakdown for I think the structural and the MEP. So yeah, just clarify that. I have the same comments.
Yeah, I will tighten that up in future applications to just try to make sure that the focus is on the existing ask, the one that's in front of you at that time. And maybe the narrative can talk about, additional phases, but just to make sure that there's no confusion over what they're asking for and what it's going to pay for. I'll make sure I, tighten that up.
But Mary, they
Oh,
can go out and ask, put out the RFP for the entire project, knowing that they're only getting 20,000 from us. They don't have to bid
Oh,
the schematics
oh, yeah.
separately,
Right.
because we're
Yeah.
providing that smaller amount. So.
Sure.
Tom, did you have
Yeah.
another comment?
Yeah, I do. Another question for Mary. Mary, is there any landscape accessibility needs as part of this project? Or is it all focused on the building?
Well, I believe it's focused on the building, but I will clarify that with them because I think they wanted to provide better access, for their programming. So, but I mean, that might be part of just the whole initial planning.
Right.
They may not, yeah. So I will, but I'll be sure to make sure they take that into consideration.
Or just clarify whether or not it's
Yeah.
included.
Yeah.
Okay. That was it for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. We had a hand raised from Joyce. It's still active. Maybe not.
All right, and hi, Mary, and well, I'm
Hi.
Executive Director of Connecticut Audubon Society. I can probably clarify that this request is strictly for the building. We are addressing the landscaping with other funding, but at this time, we're talking about the building.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
All right, we'll move along to a vote. Beth Ackley,
Aye.
Thea Ducey,
Aye.
Beth Burgess,
Aye.
Philip Steen, Marguerite Cornell,
Aye.
Tom Elmore,
Aye.
Leah Glazer,
Aye.
Andy Horowitz,
Aye.
Sarah Nelson,
Aye.
Deanna Rhodes,
Aye.
and Sarah Sportman.
Aye.
Motion carries. We wish you well.
Thank you.
That's
All right, item 5B5, The Historic Preservation Council votes to award a survey and planning grant funded by the Community Investment Act of the State of Connecticut to the below listed applicant in the amount shown. All grant guidelines and state requirements shall be met by the below listed applicant upon receipt of a grant as administered by the Department of Economic and Community Development. Staff recommends application for funding under the condition that the architect examines the exterior siding and makes recommendations for selective repair and replacement. The applicant is the Eugene O'Neill Memorial Theater Company. The project has architectural plans and specifications for the restoration of the Monte Cristo Cottage, dated 1840, at 325 Pequot Avenue, New London, Connecticut. Amount requested is $20,000. We have a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion, Deanna Rhodes.
And a second.
Sarah Nelson, I'll second.
Thank you, Sarah. Discussion?
Okay, so we do recommend approval on that condition. We've been going back and forth for a couple of months on this one. The grantee, or not the grantee, but the applicant has gotten a Save America's Treasures grant for this. And they're basically asking us for the plans and specifications to kind of fulfill that scope, or fulfill the stated scope of work in the SAT application. But as you saw, the approved scope was selective repair and replacement. When the application as stated looks like they're just going to take all the siding off, you know, and we don't recommend that at all. And so we did talk to the applicant and said that, you know, we would approve the application on that condition, that it follow a more considered assessment as they go to only replace that that exterior siding that's beyond repair. So we will because under environmental review, we'll be reviewing this project anyway. So we feel pretty confident that if they are awarded the grant, they will move forward in a way that meets the Secretary of the Interior standards. I don't believe Rob Mooney from the center is here, but I'll try to answer any questions or concerns.
I think, Mary, one of the concerns was, you know, they're trying to address a lot of moisture infiltration issues and insulation and the siding. So I think part of it needs to be the study of what that envelope strategy is going to be, and it may involve removing and reinstalling siding in order to actually get a vapor barrier, because you can't really do that from, you know, without taking things out on the interior. So whatever that analysis needs to be, I think should be part of the RFP as to what the best strategy, you know, it's sort of balancing the competing interests of preserving everything in place versus disassembly and reassembly and replacing the things that cannot be done. So it's at a certain point, some of the needs and methods, but I think that needs to be part of the envelope analysis to achieve, you know, the envelope improvements that are necessary to preserve the artifacts and things like that. So. Sarah, do you want to add anything to that?
You said it perfectly, Paul. Yes.
This is great.
That's
Thank
all I'm
you.
going to say.
No, I appreciate this input. This is, you know, we will work with them on the RFP and the final scope. So this is good. This is good input. Thank you.
Okay. And any other comments or questions from staff or council members? Seeing none, we'll move to a roll call vote. Oh, Beth Ackley, thank you.
Oh, real quick, just to build on those things, you know, Mary, root cause could be anything from gutters and leaders that aren't performing well to window sills that are projecting out too far or pitched back to, you know, the porches kind of pitching back to the building. So, you know, I'll just triple support that idea of finding the root cause before doing a blanket treatment everywhere.
Exactly. Thank you.
Okay. Now we'll go to the roll call vote. Beth Ackley, turn your mic back on.
Aye.
Via Duce,
Aye.
Beth Burgess,
Aye.
I'll abstain. Marguerite Carnell,
Aye.
Tom Elmore,
Aye.
Leah Glazer,
Aye.
Andy Horowitz,
Aye.
Sarah Nelson,
Aye.
Deanna Rhodes,
Aye.
and Sarah Sportman.
Aye.
The motion carries. We wish them well.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay. Item 5B6, moving right along. The Historic Preservation Council votes to award a survey and planning grant funded by the Community Investment Act of the State of Connecticut to the below listed applicant in the amount shown. All grant guidelines and state requirements shall be met by the below listed applicant upon receipt of a grant as administered by the Department of Economic and Community Development. The applicant is the town of Ellington, and the project is a historic resources inventory for the town of Ellington in the amount of $20,000. We have a motion to approve.
So moved, Beth Burgess.
Thank you, Beth. And a second.
Deanna Rhodes, second.
Thank you, Deanna. Discussion?
Hey, staff recommends approval of this application. It's I don't believe we've gotten an application from the town of Ellington in a while, and we always recommend initial surveys of historic resources. So and we're glad that the town initiated this request. So we do recommend approval. And I believe John Collianese is here from the town. If you have any questions, I can't answer.
Thank you, Mary. Mary, I have one question. I know that funds are limited. They list trying to document 100 buildings. Do we ever recommend kind of doing the first pass of identifying all buildings before a certain date within the town, and then provide the full analysis of the 100 that are funded, so that there is actually included in the report sort of kind of bookends, right? Because they talk about potentially in the future, they're looking at a town-wide thing. You don't want to miss something, or at least find a mechanism to raise the awareness of there are 500 buildings in town that are kind of eligible for inclusion. We're going to focus on 100 of them because of funding requirements, but it kind of puts on notice that there are an additional 400 or whatever the number might be that are, sort of like we have, it's a contributing resource, identify it sooner than later, so people don't say, oh, because it's not on the HRI, it's not historic,
Right.
and we can just bulldoze it, So if the intention is truly to kind of get the awareness out there, can we include or recommend including sort of that first pass of here are the ones that are of possible eligibility. We're looking at the first 100 in this particular project.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And we don't fund just windshield surveys, but that is generally what a consultant will do. We'll just do a quick pass and then work with the town on a large list of potential, and then they do narrow it down. So that is exactly what they do. I will make sure that is actually specified in the RFP, because this is a limited amount of money. And even just a windshield survey is going to take some time. And so, but I definitely agree that it's important to capture all possibilities, because that you're exactly right. Whenever a building is threatened, the first thing, not the first thing, but very often the argument is, well, you never noticed it before. Why do you care about it now? So as long as it's documented somewhere that it's a potential historic
Right.
resource, that really helps.
If it's an appendix in the report saying we did all of this work, we analyzed a lot, in our first pass, these are the most critical ones included, that full documentation, but it would provide a starting point for the next round to say, okay,
exactly,
you don't have to do this again necessarily, but you can build upon it, because too many times information just gets lost. Right.
Exactly.
So,
No, and that's a really good point. we would definitely encourage them to come back for subsequent grants for this. And you're right, having done that initial legwork will just make it easier. And if we have more funding down the road, they can, they can knock off a lot more under another grant. So, yep.
Thank you. Comments or questions from council members? I don't see anyone's hand, so we'll move right along to our vote. Beth Ackley,
Aye.
Via Duce,
Aye.
Beth Burgess,
Aye.
I'll abstain. Marguerite Cornell,
Aye.
Tom Elmore,
Aye.
Thea Glazer,
Aye.
Andy Horowitz,
Aye.
Sarah Nelson,
Aye.
Deanna Rhodes,
Aye.
and Sarah Sportman.
Aye.
Heard her faintly in the background. The motion carries. We wish them luck, and hopefully we can,
Thank you.
encourage them to kind of create those signposts for the future rounds.
I will.
Thank you. Thank you very
you
much.
so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, 5B7. This is the last one of this section of our agenda. Historic Restoration Fund for First Church of Christ Congregational, First Church, Middletown, Connecticut. The Historic Preservation Council votes to recommend the award of a Historic Restoration Fund grant funded by the Community Investment Act of the State of Connecticut to the below listed applicant in the amount shown. All grant guidelines and state requirements shall be met by the below listed applicant upon receipt of a grant as administered by the Department of Economic and Community Development. Staff recommends the application for funding. The applicant is the First Church of Christ Congregational, First Church Middletown United Church of Christ. The project: restoration and repair of damaged exterior wood trim, painting of exterior wood trim, window frames and doors, protection of historic stained glass windows, select masonry work, and creation of an ADA entry ramp at the main church entry. The amount requested is $200,000. I have a motion to approve.
Sarah Nelson.
Beth Burgess, is it Sarah Nelson? And a second?
Happy to give it to anyone else, though.
I'll second it. Beth Ackley.
Okay. Thank you both. Discussion. Who's our staff person presenting? I don't hear anyone.
It's Erin, but she's trying to get her headphones working.
Yeah, okay.
Nothing? Can I hop
Hi, Erin. I think we're hearing you very faintly.
Oh, what's going on? Embarrassing. Yes. Testing.
We can hear you.
Nothing? Woo, good. Okay. So I guess I have to do that up.
But
Okay.
just
so-
speak loudly.
Okay. First Church in Middletown started working with SHPRO several years ago and has followed the steps needed to receive a Historic Restoration Fund grant. They were awarded a grant to be listed on the State Register of Historic Places, and after the building was listed, the church commissioned a conditions assessment of the building. The conditions assessment identified several key areas of urgently needed rehabilitation. The church also identified the need for an ADA entrance for their community. The church was awarded a second survey and planning grant for construction drawings. Northeast Collaborative Architects completed the drawings and specifications. I then worked with Trevor Davis and Jim Miller, who are on this call, to complete a Historic Restoration Fund application for wood trim repairs, painting, select masonry work, the protection of historic stained glass windows, and the creation of an ADA entry ramp at the main church entry. Church does not currently have the resources for both the window restoration and the exterior woodwork restoration. The church feels the woodwork and painting are the most critical maintenance issues, and the restoration of the stained glass windows will be a future project, fundraising and grants. The project is anticipated to take about 6 months, and I will work with them on the bid package and bidding process. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Aaron. Comments or questions from council members? I know there was some supplemental information about the windows that was posted. Do you want to just mention that in case council members didn't see that additional information?
Sure. On Monday morning, I added in 2 documents. One is the drawing of the building showing the location of the stained glass windows. And the second document is an analysis done by a stained glass window expert documenting their condition, a possible scope of work for restoration, as well as their recommendations for the storm windows or protective coverings.
Okay. And I think just for council's benefit, if you didn't see it, the recommendation was for a non-yellowing cast acrylic protection layer on the exterior in place of the yellowed material that's currently there.
Yep.
Via, did you say?
I'm just curious, is the entire total budget the 541, including the owner's contingency? Because I noticed that the contractor Kronberger and Son have the proposal for 541. Is there another budget that includes the owner's conditions and contingency? I'm just curious.
It's not included in the grant application because they were asking for the full grant amount, but after looking at their available funding and their yearly funding, it looks like they do have the funds to cover any overages.
Okay. And also I noticed that it's prevailing wage. I don't know how long ago the proposal was done, but I think carpentry went up about twice the amount. So they might want to look into that to make sure that that is covered in the proposal that just happened a few weeks ago.
Okay, yep. I think they got 2 different quotes, one with prevailing wage, one without, and they're looking to get updated quotes for the project.
Thank you. Marguerite?
Yes, thank you, Aaron, for providing additional information on the stained glass windows and so forth. I was just wondering about the need for the protective window coverings. Is there a particular problem with graffiti in the area? Is it environmental? What is the driving cause for going for that? Because it is a controversial treatment.
I think it's a bit of both. I'm not sure if they've had any graffiti, but I think it's environmental to kind of provide an added layer of protection from exterior elements to those really important stained glass windows. But I'll defer to Trevor and Jim if there's been vandalism in the area or if it's mostly just for exterior protection from the elements.
Yeah,
I would say
typically
that it's mostly due to exterior protection from exterior elements. I mean, we are a downtown church, but we haven't had any serious problems with vandalism.
Yeah. And especially if the stained glass windows themselves are in need of restoration, which can't be done for a while, they are providing a lot of protection for them. Marguerite, could you mention what the controversy you think there is about exterior protection stained glass?
Yes. Well, there are a number of issues, but the one that concerns me most is proper ventilation, because if they are not installed correctly, they can lead to heat buildup and condensation, and actually accelerate deterioration of stained glass windows.
I've heard those concerns before, but hopefully having it done by a stained glass specialist. I did notice on one of the drawings they did mention venting. So
they mentioned it, but it was not well detailed.
Yeah.
That's
Thank
something
you.
We'll make sure to call out.
Any additional comments or questions for council members? Seeing none or hearing none, we'll move to roll call vote. Beth Ackley,
Aye.
Via Duce,
Aye.
Beth Burgess,
Aye.
I'll abstain. Marguerite Cornell,
I'll abstain.
Tom Elmore,
Aye.
Leah Glazer,
Aye.
Andy Horowitz,
Aye.
Sarah Nelson,
Aye.
Deanna Rhodes,
Aye.
Sarah Sportman.
Aye.
The motion carries. We wish you well.
Thank you.
Okay, our next item is a new category. Category 6, or State Register of Historic Places nominations. Item 6B1. State Register nomination for the Marrow Machine Company Building, 28 to 30 Laurel Street, Hartford, to the State Register of Historic Places. Historic Preservation Council votes to list the Marrow Machine Company Building, 2830 Laurel Street, Hartford, to the State Register of Historic Places. Can I have a motion to approve?
Andy, I'll move it.
And a second?
Second, Leah.
Thank you, Leah. Discussion?
Good morning. Marina Wisniewski, Register Coordinator. Staff recommends approval of listing of the Marrow Machine Company building located at 28 Hartford to the State Register of Historic Places, one at the local level in the industry, as the location of the Marrow Machine Company during a period of intense production, and as a location where many of the company's patents were developed. The building is also significant for its association with namesake J. Millard Marrow, who owned and developed sewing machine technology that became standard.
Those of us that are a little older.
Hey, Marina, I'm sorry. Your volume is really low.
How about now? Better? Nope.
Slightly.
Hi. Can everyone else hear?
All right. We're going sans headphones. Better?
Yeah,
I
it's
think
better,
we can
better
hear
for me.
All
It's
right.
better for me.
Everybody else?
Yeah.
All right,
So,
let's start again.
keep going.
Staff recommends approval of listing of the Marrow Machine Company building. Hopefully you heard all the other stuff at the local level in the area of industry as the location of the Marrow Machine Company during a period of intense production and as the location where many of the company's patents were developed. The building is also significant for its association with the company's namesake, J. Millard Marrow, who honed and developed sewing machine technology that became standard within the industry. There have been alterations to the property over time, but it does retain the majority of its location, setting, design, materials, workmanship, feeling, and association of a turn-of-the-century production mill. Herman Cortez Barrios and Natalie Sweeney of Life Care Design, authors of the nomination, are here to help answer any questions, as well as an owner's representative.
Thank you, Marina. Comments or questions from council members? Anyone?
Oh, Marguerite also provided her comments for all three of these nominations. Thank you very much, Marguerite. They will be passed along to all of the authors, and as always, is very much appreciated.
Marguerite, do you want to just give a brief comment? Is it substantive or just kind of tweaking here and there?
I actually think it's quite a strong nomination. There's lots of great information that was prepared here. Most of what I offered was minor. I did suggest that perhaps it could be strengthened to have a little bit more on the workforce of this company, just to sort of flesh out the history a bit more. But solid nomination.
Thank you. That's helpful for everybody else to understand what would help make things better. Any other comments or questions from council members? I don't see any hands raised and I can't hear anyone, so we'll move to approval. Beth Ackley,
Aye.
Via Duce,
Aye.
Beth Burgess,
Aye.
I'll abstain. Marguerite Cornell,
Aye.
Tom Elmore,
Aye.
Leah Glazer,
Aye.
Andy Horowitz,
Aye.
Sarah Nelson,
Aye.
Deanna Rhodes,
Aye.
and Sarah Sportman.
Aye.
The motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. Motion-
Our next item is 6B2. State Register nomination for the West Norwalk Chapel at 186 West Norwalk Road, Norwalk, to the State Register of Historic Places. Historic Preservation Council votes to list the West Norwalk Chapel at 186 West Norwalk Road, Norwalk, to the State Register of Historic Places. Can I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion, Andy.
Thank you, Andy. And a second? Who is
Sarah
this
Nelson.
repeating? Thank you, Sarah. Discussion?
Thank you. Staff recommends approval of listing of the West Norwalk Chapel located at 186 West Norwalk Road, Norwalk, to the State Register of Historic Places under Criterion 1 at the local level in the area of social history as an example of a non-denominational Protestant religious building that served a remote neighborhood in the late 19th century through the middle of the 20th century. Alterations have been very minimal, with the chapel retaining its location, setting, design, materials, workmanship, feeling, and association of a 19th century rural chapel. Todd Bryant, author of the nomination, is here, and I believe also there may be several representatives from the Chapel Association itself.
Any comments from council members? Questions?
I thought this was a very strong nomination. Really nice job with the social history. It was a pleasure to read it.
Thank you, Marguerite. I'll just ask one question. Were there any clear plans for future uses? Hopefully there are many once it's nominated, and keep it in
There
use.
is, Todd may be able to elaborate, and there may be other members on, but there is a very vibrant association involved with maintaining the chapel and bringing it into some community use. So there is a very enthusiastic group here, and they are hoping that this designation is the first step to open them to some financial incentives.
Great. Any further questions from council members? Seeing none, we will move to a roll call vote. Beth Ackley,
Aye.
Via Duce,
Aye.
Beth Burgess,
Aye.
I'll abstain. Marguerite Carnell,
Aye.
Tom Elmore,
Aye.
Thea Glazer,
Aye.
Andy Horowitz,
Aye.
Sarah Nelson,
Aye.
Deanna Rhodes,
Aye.
and Sarah Sportman.
Aye.
The motion carries.
Thank
Wish
you
you
very much.
well.
Congratulations.
Hopefully we'll
Thank
see
you very
back
much.
soon.
You will.
All right, moving right along. Item 6B3, State Register nomination for the Scobie General Store at 664 Orange Central Road, Orange, to the State Register of Historic Places. The Historic Preservation Council votes to list the Scobie General Store located at 664 Orange Central Road, Orange, to the State Register of Historic Places. Can I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion, Andy.
Thank you. And a second?
I'll second Beth Ackley.
Thank you, Beth. Discussion?
Thank you. Staff recommends approval of the Scobie General Store located at 664 Orange Center Road to the State Register of Historic Places under Criterion 1 at the local level in the area of commerce as a well-preserved example of a local store servicing a variety of needs for a burgeoning community. There have been alterations to the property in the past, but its restoration was based on good photographic evidence, and the property maintains its location, design, setting, workmanship, feeling, and association of a 19th century general store. I'm not sure sure if Jordan is on, but I know that Ginny Reinhardt, who contributed an awful lot of research to the nomination, is here to help answer questions, as well as members of the Rogers family, including Nancy Rogers, the owner, and Brian Dodona.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from council?
Doesn't say.
Shutting our camera
I'll just jump in. So Marina, this is currently in residential use. And
Yes.
with nomination to the state register, they would become eligible for the Historic Homes Rehabilitation Tax Credit. That's correct? Julie's program?
Actually, it would be Aaron's program. I would defer to
Right.
Aaron on answering that, but I believe if it's in residential use, Aaron, theoretically, it doesn't matter. The past use is just current use as long as it's 4 units and under and owner occupied.
Correct.
It's not owner occupied.
Okay, so
It's not
that's the
owner
limitation, that it has to be owner occupied.
Yeah,
Oh.
owner occupied.
At least
Okay.
one unit has to be owner occupied.
I can't hear it very well.
It's okay. The mic is on. They can hear you.
We can
Yeah,
hear you,
the-
Ginny.
Yes, I'm here.
We can hear you. How you doing?
Okay. And I'm here with Nancy Rogers.
The clarification was that one unit has to be owner occupied in order to qualify for the Historic Home Rehabilitation Tax Credit. So that
I'm
might not
sorry,
be-
sir. Are you asking us a question? I'm sorry, I can't hear you on that.
No, I'm amplifying one of the staff members' comments about the Historic Homes Rehabilitation Tax Credit requires one unit to be owner occupied in order to qualify for that program.
Okay.
It just about funding opportunities in the future. That once
Oh,
it's
okay.
listed, you're able to apply for certain funding sources. So we can talk about that later if you'd like after the council votes.
Yes, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Like it's just trying to make everybody aware of, some of the benefits of listing. Any other?
I have a question. So I was looking at the original pictures of the store, and then when it was converted into a house, and then some updates recently. And I just want to hear more from the architectural historians about those changes, and if it still has the same character that it did when it was a country store.
So I can answer that. So there was a restoration that was done in the 70s. So the original period of significance is for when the structure was a store. So that's the period of significance that we're looking at. Typically, when we're talking about treatments for historic properties, restoration is one of the rarer ones. And it's difficult because there's often not a lot of documentation. In this case, documentation was presented as true photographic evidence, not based on an illustration or drawings, but true photographic evidence. And so a restoration effort was made using that photographic documentation. And so from the perspective of our office, when we were looking at where's a good period of significance and where the area of significance is, we felt comfortable that the restoration was a restoration that was done using appropriate documentation. And so it continues to maintain that feeling and association of the store.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions?
I'll just say, I feel like this is another really solid nomination, very, very well researched. A ton of work went into this, it's clear, and I'm happy to support it.
Excellent nomination. Ginny did some excellent research, and Jordan did an excellent job. Again, to Deanna's point, really writing that nuance of a building that underwent change over time. And again, this is a really unique example of a resource where we have some restoration work that was done and documented. So it's also unique in that aspect. So we're very happy with it.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to a vote. Beth Ackley,
Aye.
Via Duce,
Aye.
Beth Burgess,
Aye.
I abstain. Marguerite Carnell,
Aye.
Tom Elmore,
Aye.
Leah Glazer,
Aye.
Andy Horowitz,
Aye.
Sarah Nelson,
Aye.
Deanna Rhodes,
Aye.
and Sarah Sportman.
Aye.
The motion carries. We wish you well.
Thank you very much, everybody.
got it, Nancy.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you very much.
Okay, our last item on my portion of the program is item 7.1, Historic Property Study Report. And it reads, pursuant to Connecticut General Statute, Section 7-147, subsection QC, the Historic Preservation Council votes to recommend approval of the proposed ordinance and boundary for the proposed 216 Hill Point Road, Westport, Connecticut, as presented in the study report transmitted by the town of Westport on October 15th, 2024. Can I have a motion to approve?
Sarah Nelson, I'll make a motion.
And a second?
Beth Burgess.
Thank you, Beth. Discussion.
Okay. Hi, everybody again. As you know, your role as the council per statute is to look at the study report and pass along any comments you have. By statute, it just says regarding the boundary and ordinance, but I generally take any comments or suggestions you have, and they will be subsequently read at public hearing and probably incorporated into the study report, especially if there's something in particular that that you see. This report is technically complete, so I am ready to take any comments you have that I can pass along. Oh, and Donna Douglas from the town of Westport is here, I believe.
Thank you, Mary. I have just one question. The property consists of what, 3 parcels? In the designation, I think there were like 3 different lots that are highlighted. You know, it's effectively 1 lot, but I think legally there are 3 tax parcels or something.
Oh, why did I not see that? Sorry. If that is the case, then it is my understanding that technically this is a district, even though it's 1 building, if there are 3 separate parcels. So,
they're very small adjacent parcels on the
Yeah.
south, you know, where the driveway is, and you know, they're very narrow
Yeah.
lots. So I don't know if remedying that would be a matter of officially consolidating those 3 parcels into 1. So it is
Right.
just a 1 property versus creating a district, because
Yeah.
I don't know if they can actually build on those lots, but it's just,
if they are owned by the same person, this happened on another parcel in Westport where it was 1 building but 2 separate parcels owned by the same person, and it did have to be submitted as a district. I think that subsequently came into some controversy later on, so I'll need to just confirm with the town, and then they may need to consult their town attorney on how to move forward as far as if they really are 3 separate parcels, even though they're owned by 1 person. Because
Thank you.
technically, if they want to build on one of those parcels, it will need to be reviewed by the Historic Properties or Historic District Commission at a later date.
thanks for checking. But other than
No, thanks for
that item, it was a very interesting nomination. Comments from council members? Marguerite, did you have comments on this one as well? You were muted, sorry.
I have no comments.
Okay, thank you. All right, so in this case, Mary, other than that technicality of its listing as 1 parcel or district, I think we can still move forward with adding this, or does that need to come back to us?
I think, well, it may come back to you depending on the outcome. So, I mean, as it stands, the boundary and ordinance are fine. the technicality is it a property or a district, which I don't think affects the comments that you have today, but it's a major thing that I need to let the town know about. If it's decided that it's a 3-parcel district, it will come back to us for comment. I mean, I mean, I know it sounds really minuscule, but these are just technicalities that we're going to have to take as they come back to us. So I think for the purpose of the motion, I mean, I think the ordinance is fine and the boundary is fine. It's just a matter of whether it moves forward as a property or a district, I guess is my.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question. Can
Okay.
it be tabled to the next meeting so you can get the answers?
I was just going to say, yeah, we will still be within the 65 days of comment period if it gets tabled to December.
I'd make a motion to table this until the next meeting in December.
This is
Okay,
Sarah
thanks.
Nelson. I'll second it.
Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so then we'll do a roll call on tabling it till next time, just so we can clarify that technicality. Beth Ackley,
Aye.
Burgess, or sorry, Via Duce, sorry,
Aye.
Beth Burgess,
Aye.
I'll abstain. Marguerite Cornell,
Aye.
Tom Elmore,
Aye.
Leah Glazer,
Aye.
Andy Horowitz,
Aye.
Sarah Nelson,
Aye.
Deanna Rhodes,
Aye.
and Sarah Sportman.
Aye.
All right, so the motion is tabled until the December meeting, and we hope that we can just clarify that one little technicality.
Yep.
Otherwise,
Alrighty.
it's a great nomination.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. Cruising right along. Our next item is item 9, the threatened properties update from Todd Levine.
Hi, folks. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. The Office of the Attorney General and SHPO met with the owners about 3 weeks ago to discuss the alternatives to demolition, including a facadectomy and the retention of just the buildings as is. Both of those options, they basically said if we're forced to do either of those, we're going to walk away. We talked about some things that we talked about during our meeting here at HPC, which was, some level of distinction between the first 2 or 3 floors with a setback and then their tower. We talked about a 6-foot setback. They kind of balked at that. We said, well, maybe a 3-foot. We can discuss it. They said, okay, we're going to go back and work something out. We hadn't heard from them. I asked yesterday to the OAG if they had heard anything. They said no, they're going to nudge. And then we got a response this morning from the legal counsel, from the owners, and they said we anticipate having a draft revised plans to share by the end of the week in response to our meeting on site. So they're changing something, and we'll find out, and I'll share with you guys when we have. But it won't be a facadectomy, and it won't be the retention of the buildings as is. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Thank you, Todd. Any comments or questions? No, we'll move right along then. We'll go to the report on the State Historic Preservation Office from Jonathan Kinney.
Good morning, everyone. Jonathan Kinney with the State Historic Preservation Office. Very briefly, Paul asked me to do a quick sort of overview of where we are with the statewide historic preservation planning process. So for those who are not aware, the statewide historic preservation plan is a responsibility bestowed on the SHPOs by the National Park Service. It is part of our federal charge. and we are responsible for developing that periodically. It's been a 5-year window. We are looking for another 5-year window here, but essentially we are. While SHPO is charged with taking the lead on developing the plan, it's very important to note that the plan is not just for our office. It is intended to be a statewide plan, intended to be adopted and implemented by whoever is interested in doing so at the state, local level, by individual citizens. So that's an important point. And as part of that, in trying to accomplish that and making sure that the plan works for everyone in the state, part of our responsibility is ensuring that there's a robust outreach and engagement plan with the public and with partners. So SHPO has been working with our consultant to develop a series of meetings. We hosted the first public meeting last week on the 29th. We have 3 more to go. The second one is scheduled for this afternoon, actually, and that's with our partner organizations. I hope you all saw your invitations. Obviously, the HPC is a close partner of SHPO, and we are very interested in hearing your feedback and getting your input on a number of things. After the partner meeting, we're planning a public officials meeting, which will be geared towards municipal officials and CLGs, commissions, the COGS. We're planning that for November 19th. And then the final meeting will be a second follow-up public meeting, which is scheduled for December 11th. So we're going to get an additional opportunity for the public to provide input. In addition to that, in conjunction with all of these meetings, we have developed an online survey tool, which we have rolled out, and I can put that the link to that survey in the chat. I've distributed it to I believe all of the members of council have received it, but if you can, please share that far and wide with your organizations or anybody you think who may be interested in taking that. Again, just another tool for capturing that public and partner feedback and informing the plan as we develop it. We have put together draft goals for the plan, which were also shared out with the list that was invited to the partner meeting, and we'll be sharing those as well this afternoon. And we'll also be working to analyze the previous plan. That's an important part to understand what was accomplished as part of the previous plan and what our partner organizations and what other entities in the state did. So that's another key aspect of today's meeting. We want to hear what our partners were doing and accomplished to further those goals from the previous plan. And then to sort of wrap up, just a quick timeline on where we are in the planning process. We are conducting these outreach and conversations throughout October to December. That's the period which we're doing the outreach effort. And then January through March, we'll really be focusing on writing and assembling all the pieces of the plan. We hope to have a draft down to the MPS by April, with comments back from them in May, and continuing to work throughout that period with a final product due to the MPS in June of 2025. And I am happy to take any questions on that. And that is all I have. I'll turn it back to you, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Would like to encourage council members to participate in the survey and share any other comments directly with Jonathan.
Yes.
We have a role to play, so let's make our opinions known if we can. It would be a great thing. I will go next to item 12, which is the report on museum properties for Liz Shapiro.
Okay, that's me again. Liz got pulled into a meeting. I'm going to report on 1 second. Let me just, okay, I just put the survey link in the chat for everyone if you're interested in taking a look at that. Yes, Ms. Shapiro's report, very brief today. Essentially, the museums have closed for the season, with the exception of the Prudence Crandall Museum, which is still open for visitors by reservation on Sundays. And all of the museums are in the midst of actively pulling together their wrap-up data from 2024 season. And Liz's plan is to report that out to you at the next meeting in December. So look forward to that. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you very much. Any new business, Jonathan?
No, nothing in addition to what we had. Nope.
And our liaison with public and private agencies, Jane?
I believe Jane is here, yes.
Good morning, everyone. I just have a few event announcements for November to let you know about. Preservation Connecticut is sponsoring a talk at the Interreligious Eco Justice Network on Wednesday, November 13th, next Wednesday. It's a Zoom meeting. We'll be speaking, I'll actually be presenting houses of worship and combining energy efficiency to restoration and preservation planning. And on the same day, Renee Tribert from our office will be presenting with the Connecticut Council of Small Towns and presenting resources for municipalities in historic preservation. And Saturday, November 16th, we're going to be meeting in person in Hartford at the Linus Plimpton House, 11 to 1 on Asylum. It's in the Asylum Hill National Register District, and it's a partnership program with Hartford Preservation Alliance and NINA. And we'll be touring a rehabbed house that NINA did that'll be on the market. It's an owner occupied, 3-family house that looks really great. And we can't wait to see it and talk about what all goes into a project like that and promoting that type of preservation work to others. So I hope we can see some of you in the next couple of weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Any members of the public scheduled to speak? Jonathan?
No one scheduled. There are a few members of the public still here. I don't know if anyone has anything to share. Not seeing anybody.
Okay. I think miraculously that's the end of our agenda.
11 o'clock on the nose.
Thank you all for your hard work on this long agenda. Our next regularly scheduled council meeting is Wednesday, December 4th. And I'm presuming it'll also be a Teams meeting. And if I can have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make it, Andy.
Okay. In a second?
Sarah Nelson, second.
Who was the motion by? I'm sorry.
Motion by Andy with a second by Sarah Nelson. And without objection, we stand adjourned until December.
Thank you all so much.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Have a great day.
Thank you.